Welcome into our coaching conversations for the 2025 state championship games. We start with head coach from the Lena Winslow Panthers, the 1A representative on the north side of the bracket, Ric Arand. Coach, this is kind of an annual tradition for us to be talking this time of year, and I guess that's a good thing for you.
Yeah, it's a very good thing. We've had a great run, and it never gets old. I could tell you that. It's enjoyable. It's taxing on you, but going to bed late on Saturday night and getting up early. I popped up as soon as my alarm went off, and it's just like you don't want to let the kids down. So you got to do your part. They're doing their part, and so I mean, it's been a lot of fun, and zero regrets about anything we've ever done, and things like that. So I'm surrounded by a great group of not only players but coaches, and we have expanded. I remember a few years ago we had 10 coaches in our program, and I mean you're talking 10, 15 years ago, and that would be from junior high up through varsity. And at that time we thought, we got a good group of guys and this and that. And I'd have to do a little counting, but now we have 17 guys now on staff between our junior high and our high school. Almost all of them are volunteers. And I think we have either seven or eight now that are Lee Wing grads, and probably 5 or 6 of them played for me. So we've been really, really blessed, and these guys are committed. They're volunteers, but they don't show up when it's convenient for them. They show up every day.
Yeah. Yeah, Coach, it's great to be talking to you. And like you said, it's great for you if you're talking to us this time of year. It's good for us because it's job security. You're giving us something to talk about, every weekend this time of year. So let's go back, 361 days ago, I suppose. The last time that we, met up, well, I guess we met up last week at Stockton, but when we met up in the state championship games in that post-game locker room, take me back to there and kind of what the message was from there the next day, the next week, and then on into the offseason, into the regular season.
Well, to be honest with you, it actually goes back 2 years ago with having the 2 consecutive losses at state. The kids, and we have 2 guys on this team that were full-time starters back then, Miles Mann and Gannon Dunker. Gannon as a freshman, Miles as a sophomore. He played a lot of different defensive positions for us, but also played tight end. And then Alex Schlichting was a kick returner, punt returner at that time. Kobe Kearns had played quite a bit for us on special teams and things like that. So some of these guys have been with us for, this will be their 3rd state championship as a real contributor within our team. And I just got done telling this story. For the most part, our kids play 2 sports and most of them play 3. So our football workouts consist of our summers, basically. We lift during our PE classes, which I teach all our PE classes, but you guys were all in school at one time. You know what a lifting class in PE is like. It doesn't even compare to as your group working out as a team. So when we got home after getting beat by Camp Point Central 2 years ago, we went through our winter season, and partway through our winter season through basketball and wrestling, our kids came to me and said, "Hey, Coach, we want to start working out in the mornings before school as a team, just like we do during the summer. But because everybody's in a sport, we'll just do it 2 mornings a week." Well, in the summers, we work out at 6 a.m. And they want to work out at 6 because that's kind of what they're used to. And I said, I don't have a problem with that, but we're not going to start it midway through the winter season because you're going to go back through a period of being sore, being tired, things like that. I said, as soon as the winter season's over, we'll start that. So we did. And we were obviously the seniors of that group were not coming in anymore. They had done their time and this and that, but this group was really excited about getting back into the weight room. So that year, probably about the 1st of March, we started going in the mornings 2 days a week during the spring season. And we were 40 plus kids strong. For all freshmen through juniors were there every day. And then we just continued that into our summer season. So we ended up having, typically in the summer, you get about 8 weeks of um, of workouts with your kids. We had an additional 12 during the winter, 12 weeks during that spring season. And that kind of continued over into the summer of that year. And then last year they came back. I'd be more than happy to sleep in on Tuesdays and Thursdays during the spring season. But last year they came back, hey, we're doing that again, right? And I said, yep, I'll be here. So I usually get here about 5:30, get stuff opened up, get stuff ready. I have kids here by 5:40, during those times. So really this all started 2 years ago with getting beat. I really think going into last year that we were really, really good. And, we obviously ran into, I don't want to talk about the whole Althoff situation and but we ran into a buzzsaw there. If we played them 100 times, we weren't going to beat them. Not as long as they had Deer Hill. If you take Deer Hill out of the game, we win last year. I swear by that. But he's just that good. Now, Althoff would argue that they were good enough without him, but they weren't. And and they can listen. I don't give a shit. But so that whole process of where all those kids were from and things like that, that really put, and their behavior within the game. You guys were on the sideline. You know what it was like. That put a real damper on me too. I thought last year our kids got cheated out of what a state championship game experience should be like. It should not be like it was last year. And this year will be a different story. It'll be two great teams, two classy programs, a lot of history between the two amongst a lot of history in the Brown County program as well as the Lena Winslow program. It's going to be like it should be.
Coach, you just talked on your media call about this season being kind of unlike any other. Maybe that was more geared towards the injuries that you've had to overcome. So I'm just curious what that's been like for you as a coach who has seemingly seen it all and been through it all, but then here comes the 2025 season and throws a wrench into it.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, our coaches. Like I said, I'm really lucky to have the guys I have. And they have coached their butt off this year because they've had to, because even within a game, it's not even necessarily just practice. We're getting guys ready for games, and then a guy has gone down with a freak injury. We've had more toe injuries this year than I think we've had in my whole career here. And we just had really strange, odd stuff happen. And so even within a game, we might have been too deep at a safety position or a corner position, and those two guys go down, and now all of a sudden we're scrambling, we're moving guys around. When we went to Rochelle week 3, I don't know how we beat Rochelle. I mean, we played our butts off. Our guys played hard, and they just refused to die. But we go into that game down Kobe Kearns, which is a huge factor for us because Kobe he's an offensive starter, a defensive starter, every special team you can think of, and he's very, very smart. So having him in the secondary is huge for us. But he went down against Stockton, so we're getting guys, pieced back together going into Rochelle. Well, right away on probably our first series, Alex Schlichting comes up hampered by a hamstring injury. And so not only offensively are we out Schlichting, but defensively are as well, plus kick returns. So we are, and then I think we had somebody else in the secondary go down as well in that game. And so we really, on offense, we were limited to, not a bad guy to have, but we're limited to Aiden Wild. But here we are against Rochelle, who is a team that is almost a mirror image of us, except they're a 4A school. And we're this little 1A school, and they're outsizing us like crazy. And all we can do is run it between the tackles and play our game that we play against our size schools, but we're playing against a huge school. And, we just battled and we won it. And it's kind of been like that all year long. But anything from practice of our left guard, Aiden Foley, he went down with a high ankle sprain early on, and Now we got another kid getting ready. We're trying to get him ready. Well, with the schemes that we run offensively, we look pretty basic, but at the line of scrimmage, we run a lot of different stuff. We're pulling guards, we're pulling tackles, we're cross blocking, we're fold blocking. The kids know, depending on what front they see, they have to, our offensive linemen and tight ends not only have to communicate, but they got to communicate looking over their shoulder or just calling something out so their running backs hear it. And now we're trying to get another kid ready within really 2 full days of on-field practice going into the next Friday night. And it's just it's been chaotic, and you're coaching your butt off, but by the same token, it's been very rewarding because you're going through this whole process and doing this with these kids every week, not knowing who you're going to have, but it's the next man up. And it really has been that mentality. And our kids have just stepped in and done a great job with it. And now all of a sudden we kind of limp into the playoffs. And now all of a sudden we're going to the finals 5 weeks later and we're almost totally healthy. So it's been as rewarding of a year as you can get from that standpoint.
Yeah, Coach, couple follow-ups, to that. Talk about Kevin Milder and Kyle Benson. You've been together on this coaching staff for over 25 years together. You mentioned what those coaches mean this year, but give them some shout out here for, we talked to you, but give praise to them. And what do they do? What do you appreciate about them week in, week out?
Oh God. We wouldn't be in this position without either one of them, plus the rest of our staff, really. But yeah, this is my 29th year as a head coach. When I took this job, I had one assistant, and that was Connor Arn. Connor has been here since 1987. He's still with us. He actually still teaches here part-time. He's retired. He's retired as a full-time science teacher, but he has stayed on, and I think he teaches 3 classes a day. He's done that for, I don't even know how long he's been retired, 6, 7, 8 years maybe now. And then he comes to football practice afterwards. Connor was actually a paid coach when he was still teaching full time. Basically wanted to allow a younger guy to step in and get paid. So he's a volunteer for us now. And he doesn't want to do all that daily grind stuff anymore, which is great. He comes to practice, he comes to games, and he coaches his butt off. But so he was the only guy on staff when I took over. And then Kevin was a young guy, was our head wrestling coach. And I'd known Kevin for a few years, and I said, like, hey, you want to come on? Because we were bad enough that nobody wanted to coach. And we weren't horrible. There have been a few years in there where Lena Winslow football was really, really bad. It had 3 consecutive 0-9 seasons. And a guy by the name of John Wallace, who was a young guy, he took over and he really got us back to respectability. I think they made the playoffs maybe his last 3 years in a row at, anywhere from probably 6-3 to 7-2 maybe. And he did a nice job. And so when I took the head job, with Connor and I and Kevin, and we roped a couple other guys into doing it. And then here you go, 29 years later, Connor's still here, Kevin's still here. I think Connor has actually coached. This might be his 39th year here as an assistant coach. So he has been here a long time. Coach Milder's been here a long time. Coach Benson's been here, I believe, 25 now, and I could be wrong on that. Kyle is a Lee Win grad. A couple of years before I was here. And then I believe I said it on the IHSA call. I think we have 7 former Lee Win players that are now on staff in some way, in some capacity. But come Friday nights and Saturday afternoons, they're all here. And they're all here for practice as well. But when the junior high season's over, we have 5 guys over there. Some of them are here every day for us. Some of them go back to their real job that actually pays them. And but then they show up for practice occasionally, those junior high guys do. And they're always here on game days. So it's been quite the the journey, over 29 years. And if you think back to where we started and where we're at now, it's pretty cool.
Coach, I'm curious on early this season. Do you think that you learned more about your group from that week 2 loss to Stockton, or was it the following week when you took on a 4A team in Rochelle and won, missing 3 or 4 starters?
Well, a little bit of both, I would say. You know, going back before that, we knew coming in that we had a talented group. We also knew Stockton was going to be really, really good. And Stockton's kids, our kids are a little bit different than the Stockton kids. And namely because the Stockton kids are wrestlers. Almost all of them are wrestlers. And they are tough-nosed kids. Not that our kids aren't tough-nosed. I think our kids were pretty tough on Saturday. But just that mentality goes a long ways. And anybody who knows wrestling would probably agree with me. Coach Milder's our head wrestling coach, has been for years. And he will even tell you those Stockton kids are just different. Just the toughness that those kids that are wrestlers display. And, but we knew coming in that we were both going to be really, really good. And we had a couple other teams in the conference we thought would be knocking on the door as well. We were full-fledged in a hurry to finish up our field project week 2. I'm not trying to make any excuses for our kids. Stockton beat our butts. But leading up to that, what we asked out of our kids was really, really unfair. That week going into the Stockton game, we were on the road at Forest in week 1. We were trying to get the field project, which was totally a group effort amongst our community, amongst the contractors. Our kids laid sod either 2 or 3 different nights after practice going into that week just to get the place like presentable. They were also helping set up fencing around sodded and seated down areas. They were moving bleachers, just crazy stuff that was so unfair to ask of them. And I really think that the buildup for that game for our kids, that excitement started like several weeks before because everybody was excited about the field project, playing in the new stadium. And those kids lived that excitement for like 2 weeks, which was grueling. You know how it is when you're really excited about something and then it's over. It's like, holy shit, that was a lot of work, just the adrenaline that goes through it. And so I think really we were probably beat before we ever stepped on the field against Stockton. And again, I don't want to take anything away from them because they were really good. And, but then, we've played a lot of bigger schools than us over the years. We played the likes of some good sized schools. And, so we knew going in that we had our backs against the wall. I'll be honest with you, as a head coach, with what the injuries we had going in, I was perfectly happy with walking away at 1-2 going into Rochelle, knowing that we had at least battled. We went on the field, we played our butts off, and we got beat because everybody expected us to get beat. So I was okay with that. I was okay with starting the season 1-2 because I really thought that's probably what was going to happen. And, like I said on the call earlier today, our kids went in and we just battled. We battled our butts off. Somehow we walked out of there with a victory. And really, it was, even though as a coach, I know it wasn't like this, but we dominated that game really from start to finish. We, offensively and defensively, we were dominant at the line of scrimmage. The score was pretty close just because they're a really talented team. But I thought that was the turning point in our season. But unfortunately for us, even after that, the injuries continued to build up, and really we battled that bug all the way. I guess that's the biggest reason I'm so proud of these guys, amongst other things. This group, they have really shown a side of, as Coach Rickles would tell you, they love one another. They really do. And they would do anything for each other. Um, and that is from the seniors down to the freshmen. And like I said, Gannon Dunker, he started a Bible study this year. We've never had anything like that. Jaden Schubert has been, I refer to him as the Rev because he's kind of our prayer leader. He leads a prayer before the game in the lot, wherever we're at, depending on where we're doing our pregame. He leads one on the field after the game. With Forreston, they wanted to do a prayer before the game. I called Coach Janicki to see if his kids prayed before the game. I know the being a public school and prayer, those things are not supposed to go hand in hand. But you know what? Anything, this crazy world we live in, anything to make it better at this point, I'll stick my neck out there for that. So Coach Janicki said, yeah, our kids always do the Lord's Prayer before a game. I said, what if we do it? What if we do it after the coin flip as one big group at midfield? So that's what we did. We did it with about 10 minutes to go in warm up. The kids, the Stockton and Forreston kids all prayed together, led by Jaden Schubert, who's a senior tight end, defensive end for us. He came to me as a junior and wanted to know if he could lead prayer before games. I said, you know what? At that time, it was my 28th year. I said, I've never had a kid ask that, and we've never done that. But yeah, have at it. So they've gone out of their way to do things for one another and with one another that I think are really important things in life. And they've never skipped a beat. The kids don't even know this, but you and I know this term probably as well as anybody. But you know, when we were younger, and even still to this day, BYOB obviously means bring your own beer to the party. And I was in my office one day, and it was after practice, and the kids were going to they usually go to Gannon's house for Bible study, but they were going to use, we call it the shed. It's basically the varsity locker room. It's our old weight room, which is detached from the building, and they wanted to do their Bible study in the shed. And so they had all brought their stuff to practice. It was their Bibles were in their cars, and they were ordering Subway, and they were doing whatever, you know. And I was in my office at the door closed doing some things, and I heard Gannon in the hallway. He says, BYOB, which meant bring your own Bible. So it's just been like, this group has been like refreshing. And we've had a lot of great groups over the years, don't get me wrong, but just everything about them has been just a little bit different in a great way.
Yeah. Coach, that reminds me of after the game in Stockton, and you get your award, the placard saying you're going to state, and the kids celebrate, and they all take a knee, and they kind of look at you, and there was a moment of, are you going to talk, or are we going to do a prayer? And you kind of looked at him and said, go ahead and do your thing. That's more important than what I got to say anyway.
Exactly.
So,
yeah,
I thought it was great.
And you know what? Probably the only reason I talk to them after games is that's what everybody else does. That's what you see on TV too. I don't usually have anything to say.
Yeah.
They've provided enough, and we really don't talk about anything important. I just congratulated them, on the semifinal win, going to the state championship again, told them how proud I was. But really, what they have to say is way more important than what I have to say.
Yeah. Well, Coach, let's look ahead at Brown County, a team kind of coming in as kind of a team of destiny here, by all accounts. Coach Little, been there for 23 years, getting to the state championship game for the first time. You mentioned in the media call you haven't seen a lot about them, which I'm sure will change before Friday as you do your homework this week. But, how does that change your prep when it's a team that you're unfamiliar with and it's a short week and it's kind of a chaotic week?
Well, I've seen enough film on them in the last 24 to 36 hours to know that it's going to be like playing against ourselves. That's what they probably resemble us more than anybody we've played this year. Forreston's a double wing team. But Forreston resembles us in some schemes and some little things that they do. But Brown County, Camp Point Central, and us are mirror images of one another. And in a lot of ways, both of us are big up front, although Brown County dwarfs us. They will be huge looking compared to what we are, and we have decent size. They got great skill kids, which I think we do too. And I think defensively, they do what we want to do. They want to win at the line of scrimmage, and then let their skill kids on defense, their linebackers, their secondary play, let those guys use their speed and make plays in the secondary. And so we are virtually mirror images of one another. We probably didn't even have to exchange any film. We probably could have just said, hey, let's play this thing Monday afternoon. That way we can enjoy Thanksgiving together with our families,
Coach, I got one more for you before we talk to before we actually do talk to Coach Little. On this call right now, there are collectively 12 daughters between the three of us. So I want one piece of advice that you've learned as a girl dad that has translated into your success as Lena Winslow head coach.
Oh man. Well, I think I told, oh gosh, I apologize because I can't remember her name. So the one lady that'll be on our sideline from the IHSA,
Kate.
Kate, that I don't coach girls sports because at home I get my fill of girls, and I don't have boys and I'm happy I don't have boys. I've never actually thought to myself, God, I wish I had a son, because he'd probably hate me. And I come to school every day. We have 58 football players. And I get my fill of boys. I hear enough and I hear how they talk that I probably don't. Number one, I don't want them dating my daughters. And number two, I don't want them in my house all the time. So, yeah, advice about girls at home. They're very, very supportive. That's for sure. You have to have a soft side for them. If I try to treat them like I do the boys sometimes here at school, which I treat our football kids exactly like I'd treat my own kids. I always tell them that I will do anything for you. I'll have your back, but don't screw it up. And I don't remember where I was going with this. Oh, but if I said some things to my girls at home that I say to some of these boys, I would have tears all the time. And I get a lot of tears. And there's only one of the 6 still at home. But even when the other ones are home, sometimes there's tears and, this and that. And, they have boyfriend issues or whatever. A lot of them, 4 out of the 6 are married now. So they've got their own issues now. But and the 5th one is getting married over in January down in the Dominican. So that'll be my only vacation of the year. Looking forward to it. I want to go like next week maybe and stay till January. But yeah, just girls are special.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Well, I'm just getting into the verge of the teenage years, and the dating and all that it's coming faster than I realize sometimes, I think. So I'm right there, Coach, and Mitch is right there as well.
Well, and the only thing I can tell you about the teenage years is you'll have to play referee sometimes between your daughter and your wife. Although my wife has gotten along very, very well with all the girls, but from some of the guys I coach with that have daughters, those two, your wife and your daughter, they're going to play you against one another. And at some point in time, they're going to hate each other so bad that you probably want to go to the Dominican as well and just say it. So, but no, it's been a lot of fun. One of the son-in-laws actually coaches with me now, so that's been a lot of fun. Awesome. Another one of the son-in-laws is a defensive coordinator at Drake University, so I kind of get my fill of that. He played at Iowa. I get my fill of that as well, and that's probably what I'll do in retirement is go out and watch his practices and his games, and I can be an expert critic and tell him everything that I think he's doing wrong, although he's 33 years old and he knows more about football than I ever thought about knowing. But yeah, so it's just a lot of fun. As your kids get older, you got to enjoy the days when they're little and you go to the zoo and you're you're playing Santa Claus at Christmas time and things like that. But as they get older, it becomes more fun. And then I've got 4 grandkids now, a 5th on the way. And that's even more fun because you know what your parents did with your kids when they got to spend the night, or they're there for a few hours and they send them back to you all wired up on candy and stuff like that. That I get to do that now. So that's good.
Awesome. Well, appreciate, hopefully get a little bit of family time this week, Thanksgiving before, the kind of, before everything starts up. But we'll definitely see you Friday morning. Lena Winslow kicking off against Brown County at 10 a.m. there at Hancock Stadium. So, Coach, we always look forward to talking to you. Look forward to seeing you down on the sidelines on Friday, and good luck.
Sounds good. Thank you. And I don't think I've ever met Coach Little, so I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to just 2 old guys being able to talk old guy football, So
there you go.
We both coach like old guys. I mean, fullback dive, belly. Some people don't understand our lingo anymore. So
yeah. Well, for those listening, Coach Little's coming up next, so you'll hear from him very shortly. Thanks, Coach.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for having me on. I always look forward to it, and good to see you guys. And Mitch, I don't know if they'll let you rock that Leland hat on Friday, but at least wear it on the way there or the way home or whatever. So
that's a promise. I'll do that.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah.